You are interpreting the data to create this story of what is going on. These days, we use a different kind of filter. We use a filter of mathematics. And this creates a very different picture of what's going on in the universe. Rather than having these sort of personalities, zodiac personalities that we're relating to, we understand the universe is expanding and maybe makes us very small in the universe. It's a different meaning in the data. But once again, in a sense, they are both true. Depends whether you're believing in the filter or not. Now, we've filtered things. Okay, we started. We said we want to look at this area. This is what's capturing our attention right now for what the business objective of your client is. This is what's important to us right now. Now, within that, you've got to come up with a unifying idea. And once again, this, if you think of stories as a filter, jot in your notes a unifying idea. Now, the unifying idea sort of synthesizes that area of interest, that subset, into a something unified, the core, what the story is about. And practitioners in different fields have different names for their unifying idea. Let me show you. If you're a newspaper reporter, you might be talking about the angle. What's your angle on the story? If you're a lawyer, what's the thesis? What's the thesis of the case? We always talk about takeaways in business and power. What's the takeaway? What's the bottom line? What's your hypothesis? In music, what's your melody or what's your hook in a pop song? In advertising, we called it the big idea. Sometimes we think about it as the elevator pitch. In other words, bottom line is, what is this really all about? Now, another thing that's key to understand is when you have this unifying idea for our purposes in research, it has to propose something. It has to assert something. It has to be something you could argue for or against. For example, if you ask me, what's your story idea, David? And I said, well, it's love. That's not a story idea. Love conquers all is a story idea. Or love makes you crazy is a story idea. It's something that you're proposing something and can be argued for or against. Getting into our field here, if you have a story, you say, my story is, let's say you're looking at millennials, right? And you say, it's insights about millennials. That's not a story idea. That doesn't say it doesn't have value or it isn't true. It's just not a story. Whereas if you say millennials are nostalgic for a world they never experienced, that's a story idea. It might be a good story idea. It might be a bad story idea, but that is a story idea. Okay, so let me show you some examples of these kernels, these crystals. We have a product at RTi we call the meaning memo. It's a one-pager that reduces a deck down to its main proposition. Here are three that we've done over the last years. Some of them could be very simple. In the first case on the left there, that was a study that really involved a brand that had sort of a personality as its a founder and main figure, a character. Think of Burt's Bees if you're in the United States, something like that. A larger company had bought it, and they just simply wanted to know on the internet, on Instagram and so forth, should they refer to themselves as I, the character's name, which is the name of the brand, or we? And we came up with this clever, we is the preferred pronoun. Very simple kind of market research study. On the right, you see something else which is very interesting. It was talking about eggs and the color of egg yolks. Did it matter? If it does, where does it matter? There happens to be this metric, and 9 to 11 is the sweet spot, and that yolk actually appeals to people, but it doesn't cue nutritional value. Interesting. But it's not a fancy idea, but it is a clear, fundamental idea from which you can build a story. In the middle, this was a positioning a problem for a hydrating product. And it actually was somewhat complex to figure out what it was really about. And what we came down is that what really the research is showing is that it's about stamina. So all of these are just simple things and really the beginning of storytelling and what you need to have in order to move ahead with your story.